Hello. So this is my process document on Dadaism and augmented reality. And so I began my process with just looking things up and beginning research on Dadaism itself so I could know what focus and direction to go with it. And so I found that it mostly focuses on not creating aesthetically pleasing images or planned things, but instead to make comments on society and to use shock value by taking different found images and paper collages, by taking ready-mades and adding manipulation to them. I also learned that Dadaism is mostly short-lived and doesn't last super long, and it itself as a movement didn't last very long. So I kept those in mind as I started my research and began my process, and so I decided not to plan anything out, but rather just start working with it and figure it out as I went along, which is normally not the way that I do things. So I went to Pexels and started looking up images and just kind of picked whatever I felt stood out to me and what I felt like I could work with. And so I found a bunch of images and took them into Photoshop and started pulling them apart and using Quick Select to just kind of remove them from their backgrounds, as well as to separate different parts into layers that I could manipulate later in After Effects. And so I lightly started planning things out on Illustrator, but I just used inspiration from that as I took it into After Effects. And so then once I started taking things into After Effects, I started manipulating them by adding effects, and there's a lot of just movement and using the position tool, as well as adding effects. Like with one of them I used one called Mr. Smoothie, and a lot of the puppet tool as well is what I used on the lady with the arm as well as the cat one. I used the puppet tool to create movement and illusion to life as well, because I wanted it not to feel like a still photo but more of like a experience that one would have. And so in relation to Dadaism, I kept my process similar to that, but in order to make comments on society, I wasn't able to really plan that out and think about it much in my effort to not plan things out. And so looking at it now, I realize that there's a lot of interpretation available, especially since I have a few animals that seem to not like interactions with humans, like the cat kicking his legs and the bird seeming to react to the touch of the woman with her arm flailing around. And so it could be definitely a comment on society and people and interaction with the environment and animals, and so it's open to interpretation, which is kind of fun because there's always something you can find from art, even if it's not planned. I feel like augmented reality reflects Dadaism well, as also because it's short-lived. It comes up suddenly and then it's gone again. It's invisible art that's there that you don't know about unless you've seen it. It only lives as long as you have your phone up. As soon as you take it away from the source, then the art piece is seemingly lost. And so I feel like that reflects it really well. And also augmented reality creates excitement, which is very cool. I asked my brother to help me film a little bit of experimentation with it when I went to test it, and when I explained to him what augmented reality was in the car, he was not all that impressed. He was just kind of going along with it because I asked him to. But as soon as we got there and I showed him what it actually was, he got very excited and was super into it, and he wanted to see more. He asked if my other classmates were up yet, if he could see them, so I'll have to show them sometime soon. And I felt like the critique went very well. Of it's a big space, and so everyone was able to see it and experience it, and even though it was kind of awkward with testing it out and being in front of a lot of people, it drew attention and caused like questions of what's going on, what kind of art form is this, what are these people doing? And so I feel like that was a really good place to be, and a good place for a message if need be. So this was a very fun project, and had a good time with it, and got to experiment, and it was great. having a good time. So thank you for the opportunity, and that is what I got.